If you like South Park, let us know your favorite episode in the comments. I'm your host Yusuf, and these are 10 dark South Park theories that will make you reach enlightenment. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Anyways, let's shake it out west. Number 10, Butters is talking to his therapist about what happened. Butters was not one of the primary characters when South Park initially aired, but he has gradually gained recognition. For a season, the character even momentarily supplanted Kenny as a regular among the quartet of kids. His encounters with the group, and especially with Cartman, are now regular enough that Butters has become an essential element of the show, prompting some ideas about the character's emergence. This idea holds that South Park reflects the gang's exploits as relayed to Butters as an adult to his therapist. Butters is readily fooled by the other kids because he is innocent and naive, making him more inclined to believe that the more fanciful portions of the episodes happened and less likely to examine the odd elements. But why would he be in treatment, you may wonder? According to this hypothesis, as the brunt of so many jokes and pranks, Butters has acquired a drive to confront his mistreatment, eventually telling his therapist about all the horrible, if hilarious, abuse he endured. Number 9, Cartman knows why Kenny is stuck in a loop. One of the longest running mysteries on South Park is why no one ever remembers Kenny getting ended in every single episode. Kenny passes in a variety of agonizing, horrific ways in the early seasons, only to be revived by the next episode without anyone commenting on it. The series explained in episode 13 of season 14 that his parents' participation in Cthulhu cult gatherings was to blame. We learned that every time Kenny was forcefully taken from the casting list, his mother would give birth to him again the next night, since he nearly instantaneously grew to the age he was before the event. While no one seemed to remember these events, at least one individual was aware of them. Cartman has appeared on occasion to address Kenny's passings, explaining what's going on to Stan and Kyle, but never making any headway. According to one scenario, Cartman is aware of Kenny's predicament due to an eye transplant he received from Kenny's frozen head. According to the argument, the transplanted eye enabled Cartman to see things through Kenny's eyes, allowing him to become more aware of his periodic expirations and seeming immortality. Number 8, Kenny stops the characters from aging. If you haven't noticed, many South Park theories are fascinated with making sense of Kenny's supernatural tendency to return from the grave, time and time again. The characters in South Park, like most animated series, never age. Nonetheless, what distinguishes South Park is the continuity and passage of time, with things like presidential elections taking place to correspond with real-world events. One theory regarding the phenomenon of South Park residents never aging while the world around them develops and evolves is that the town is locked in a time loop, and it's all Kenny's fault. The same spell that keeps Kenny resurrecting is also distorting time around him, causing weird fluctuations across the village and repeatedly resetting time to before he passed away. Essentially, this preserves everyone the same age while allowing them to gain experience and remember events that happen around them. It also explains why the kids appear to have matured and become more adult-like without becoming any older. Number 7, Randy and Sharon are siblings. Randy and Sharon March are two of the most regularly seen adult characters on South Park, and they have only grown in importance over the years. They are major adults in a series that generally centers on children, as Stan and Shelly's parents. Randy's tendency for getting caught up in weird circumstances with bizarre repercussions has catapulted the pair into many narratives over the years. There's a strange fan idea about Randy and Sharon that may seem impossible to accept at first, but given all of the bizarre narratives South Park has given viewers, it feels fairly feasible. The hypothesis holds that Stan's parents are half siblings, and it cites instances when Sharon referred to Randy's father as evidence. Number 6, Officer Barbrady isn't a cop. According to a 2012 theory, the character is simply a regular citizen who has come to believe he is a member of the police force but is not. According to this viewpoint, the rest of the town feels sorry for Barbrady and keeps up the pretense to keep him happy and occupied. As evidence, the hypothesis points to his phony police badge, the fact that he has never been called to solve genuine crimes, and his persistent lack of partners and coworkers. Barbrady has always functioned as a one-man team, operating out of a small structure with other people seemingly coming and going from what appears to be his own jail. Even in a tiny community, such autonomy for a law enforcement person would be remarkable. Is it feasible that his appearances on South Park are a kind of extravagant gesture? from the villagers to keep the delusion of an adult guy playing policemen and robbers alive? Number 5, South Park is Purgatory. If you've seen more than a few episodes of South Park, you've probably noticed that grown-ups are mostly portrayed as inept buffoons. Despite this, the adults of South Park operate profitable enterprises and live as autonomous adults, which appears contradictory. One belief is that South Park is a kind of purgatory, where departed people deemed too foolish to associate with others are banished to spend eternity. This explains why there are so many idiots in town. They are all purposely placed there in an apparent attempt to keep paradise as a place for the more intelligent, well-behaved, and usually civil. This viewpoint is supported by the town's unusual frequent encounters with the devil and Jesus. It is claimed that their repeated appearances are actually attempts by them to improve these wretched souls, moving them forward to either heaven or hell. Number 4, Kenny's parents can't afford taking care of him, and it's kind of Kenny's fault. Kenny has a difficult life in South Park. Not only did he perish in so many early episodes, but his family life was always in disarray. His parents do not appear to love him in any significant sense, and they are far from ideal adult influences, as they are both alcoholics with a history of substance usage. These usually absent parents appear to be struggling to feed their child, with Kenny seen eating Pop-Tarts, microwave pizza, or frozen waffles for dinner, and bread sandwiches for breakfast. Apparently, it's all they can afford. There's an intriguing explanation as to why Kenny's parents are so impoverished. Because the child passed away so frequently, his parents had been obliged to pay for hundreds of funerals. Number 3, Cartman loves Kyle. Cartman is possibly the most disliked and despised child in town, but he sure makes South Park viewers chuckle. His interactions with Kyle have been especially amusing, as the two of them frequently get testy right away. And while their group generally sticks together and somewhat has each other's backs, it's safe to say that there are two members of the friend group who hate each other. It's Kyle and Cartman. According to a 2016 idea, the hatred between Cartman and Kyle stems from the big-boned child's subliminal desire for him. Cartman loves to rile up Kyle because he doesn't understand the difference between attention and affection. Number 2, South Park is an experiment. South Park is rarely a typical town. The events that take place range from bizarre to psychotic, whether it's visits from Jesus, talking poos, or alien probing. So many incredible things occur in this Colorado hamlet that it appears that there might be some underlying cause. A theory proposes one by speculating that the town is the subject of some type of supernatural experiment. South Park is being used as a testing ground for the dark arts by a hidden organization, perhaps the Illuminati or a comparable entity, with scenarios that could be unleashed on the entire Earth. The experiment has locked the town in a time loop. There's that word again, still stressing on that fact that none of these kids have aged in over a quarter decade, making Kenny immortal and unleashing paranormal weird phenomena on South Park. Number 1, the 4 main characters are the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. South Park revolves mostly around the activities of the 4 main characters, Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny. According to one fan idea, these 4 characters represent something far more complicated than the 4 kids we see before us. They represent the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Death and conquest are said to be represented by Kenny and Cartman. Kenny is associated with death, having passed away hundreds of times, and like other representations of the Grim Reaper, drapes his hood around his head to obscure his face. Cartman has a great desire to reign over and dominate people, thinking them as inferiors, and thus represents conquest. Kyle's link to the Horseman is less evident, but given his willingness to dispute people who disagree with him and fight for what he believes in, war appears to be the most plausible possibility. Then there's Stan, who has to be famine, and this is where the idea kind of breaks down. Thanks for watching. Those were 10 dark South Park theories that will make you reach enlightenment. Leave a like and comment if you think we missed anything, and we hope you have, come on, a scary day.